The Philadelphia Eagles were indeed active at the trade deadline, bringing in 30-year-old wide receiver Golden Tate in exchange for a third-round pick, which they sent to Detroit. Now, the move itself has seen some mixed reactions. Some fans are very excited to see a man who has been boasting yards after the catch since his arrival into the league, while others are a little bit confused as to how exactly he's going to be used when Jordan Matthews and Nelson Agholor both play in the slot as well. I went back and looked at every single target from the 2017 and 2018 season, and this is the most comprehensive film breakdown on Golden Tate that's out there. So let's get this video to 500 likes. If you're new to this channel, stick around and hit subscribe. My name is Liam Jenkins. This is Eagles Film Room. It's common knowledge that Golden Tate has more yards after the catch than any other wide receiver since 2014, but I wanted to find out why. And largely it comes down to scheme and assets, and what this man has is a skill set that's so unique. Here we see him motion across the backfield, and by the time he breaks out into the flat, he's already got such an advantage that his acceleration just takes him to the next level. It's an easy game for a first down. If you can find a way to harness that acceleration through scheme, then you're on to a winner. And what we see here is Golden Tate with the blue route essentially be positioned to make that highlighted defensive back bite one way or the other. He's going to surrender deep or a check down. You can already see he moves over to cover his man. It's a wide open check down for Stafford, but then Tate turns upfield. He could have easily gone to the sideline, but he turns his body upwards. The acceleration to go from 0 to 100 is insane for someone of his age. He has not lost a step in the slightest. We see it here in what is a vintage Golden Tate route. A stick and nod is essentially an out route, but with the ability to turn upfield afterwards and make the defense pay. He shrugs off defenders like it's nobody's business, and he's so agile that it's difficult to keep him under wraps, because all it takes is one quick step and he is off to the races. And in my opinion, he may be one of the most underrated wide receivers in the league. That's why he's averaging 11.8 yards per reception and over 2.2 yards per route run. Tate is a wolf in sheep's clothing, and for a third-round pick, the Eagles have got the most unconventional deep threat in the game. Here again, this stick and nod route. Watch the way he bullies his way through the stem. This is another part of Tate's game we're going to get to. The way he's able to physically fight through contact and then turn upfield. The quarterback pins his eyes in the backfield. He's looking at where Stafford's going. By that point, it's too little too late. Tate then turns inside. He goes over the middle, knowing that his legs are going to carry him so much further up the field. And this is where Golden Tate becomes an absolute nightmare for opposing defenses, because he's not a traditional deep threat. He's not someone that's going to be tall and run a simplistic route tree of goes and posts. Instead, he's going to punish the intermediate section of the field and let his speedy acceleration, his burstfulness and awareness of what's going on around him do the talking. And it makes for a threat that very few receivers are able to replicate at this level. I mentioned running routes just then, and Golden Tate may be among the cleanest in the NFL, and if there's a potential mentor for Nelson Agholor, this is the guy you want to bring the best out of him. Now this, in essence, is a simple crossing route. There's not a lot to it, right? He runs over the middle, turns his head, catches the ball, job done. Let's slow this down. That first couple of steps, at this point, he's positioning himself inside. The linebacker has to square his shoulders. Tate flicks his head and lets his body follow. He doesn't move the bottom first. He sells the route with his head and then sticks his foot in the ground. And when he does that, it means he knows exactly where he's going. There's no kind of body miscues or stumbles or anything like that. It is clean, it's crisp, and it's as sharp as a knife. We see it there, foot in the ground, head turns, then the body follows. He swings that inside arm down to direct momentum. We see it again there. Head turn, inside arm comes down, and that pushes his hips open and forces leverage, because the defensive back, like we see here against the Green Bay Packers, has to adjust. He doesn't want to let him get to the outside hash, so as you see, Golden Tate's head's up. He's looking deep. The defensive back has to respect it, and at that point, the head turns, then the hip comes over the top with the use of the inside arm, the foot's in the ground, and it is a nice throwing window for a quarterback. Now this enables Golden Tate to dominate the stem of the route, and that's also the most important part, because it's where corners are going to initiate contact and try and disrupt that timing. Here the Lions move Marvin Jones inside, the intent being to try and confuse this defense. There are two levels to this play. One is to try and take that safety and either bring him down onto the check down, opening up the back of the field for Golden Tate, or vice versa. Now what Tate's going to do is approach this cornerback and just brush past him with contact. The safety comes down. It's a nice window for Matt Stafford. The play works perfectly. We can expect plenty of that in this Eagles offense with bunch formations and the like, but look at the way he uses his arms to push downfield as if he's selling a deep route. That tells the corner, do you know what? Don't worry about it. But instead, Tate swings that head the other way and breaks inside. We see another example here against the 49ers. A similar look, two receivers very close together. He bullies his way down the route. He's being held there clearly by the jersey. The ball is a little overthrown, but he wasn't even disrupted once. For a receiver so agile to be that physical is honestly a little daunting for any cornerback. So sticking with the Niners game, here's a simple route ran by Golden Tate, but again, shoves his way through, and look at the separation that yields. That simple brush pass, it's not a push off, there's no illegal contact, that is just sheer separation from upper body strength. He lets his legs do the driving, but he sells the vertical. He scares the defensive back into having to account for that deep speed. That is all he needs to make a defense pay. The Cowboys learned that the hard way. This again for me is the trademark Golden Tate route. It's a stick and nod, cuts across the face of the DB, pushes with a bit of physicality, and then just makes a wizarding play down the sideline. He scores on a similar play later in that same game, but take a look at this route up close and personal. He's going to run straight up to the corner. Again, two receivers in close proximity. Nice little bit of upper body strength there to gain momentum, pushes his way outside. The corner turns his head, feeling his way down the route. That's great coverage, but he adjusts inside. He doesn't keep running. Tate has got his head on a swivel, stays inside, adjusts for the ball, then breaks over the middle for those all-important extra yards. That's the name of the game for Golden Tate, is that he wants those extra yards. There he brushes past another man, turns upfield in the middle, actually changes direction on the spot to pick up extra yards. He won't stay going in a straight line or where the path of that ball takes him. It's wherever gets him the most yards, and that is a big thing to have. Again, a stick and nod. We're going to keep coming back to this route because he abuses it in the Detroit Lions scheme. We'll take a look at how he dominates the Packers cornerback here. Runs up, brushes past, and then sells that vertical. Look at the way he's able to just turn upfield. His hips are so fluid. The pass falls incomplete, but this is the one that burned the Cowboys the most, and I'm sure it's one Eagles fans are going to absolutely love. The same sort of concept. The whole point of this, you've got two receivers designed to draw the attention from that deep defensive back away, and at this point the corner's keeping his eyes in the backfield. He thinks it's an out route. Big mistake, because there goes Golden Tate on a deep stick and nod. That's a touchdown. There's not much you can do. There are two other areas where the Eagles may seek to use Golden Tate, and those are screens and rushes, something that Nelson Aguilar has seen plenty of this year. The Lions also like to run their fair share of screens, and of course it was number 15 who saw the bulk of them because of how shifty he can be. That won't change in Philadelphia. Now, why is it not a problem that Jordan Matthews and Nelson Aguilar both play in the slot? The answer is simple, that while Jordan Matthews actually dominated outside as a Z receiver against the Jags, he's a great blocking wideout. And if you can have a trio of Alshon Jeffrey, this man, and Jordan Matthews, you are going to have a lot of problems in the screen game, because Alshon Jeffrey and Jordan Matthews are both great on blocking looks, and Golden Tate has got the speed to punish anyone that gets mildly complacent. Now, this is something we've seen from Nelson Aguilar a lot in recent weeks, and it's these jet sweeps, these motion plays. The Eagles love to run these trick plays where they get wide receivers carrying the ball out of the backfield. The Lions did the same. And again, Doug Pederson, knowing that the running game is a little bit lackadaisical at the moment, may well turn to Golden Tate to ignite that on a couple of trick plays. Why not have Alshon going one way or Nelson going one way and then have Golden Tate going the other? The possibilities here are endless. The one thing I'll say is don't expect Golden Tate to be this deep threat that Shelton Gibson was primed to be, or replacing the same role as Mike Wallace. The Eagles know what they want in Golden Tate. They know what they're getting in Golden Tate, and that's a receiver who can cut you up underneath. And when you've got a quarterback completing 70% of his passes, that's channeling, that's able to draw safeties down, to hold linebackers, Golden Tate is going to be a nightmare, as he has been for Matthew Stafford for so long. This is a man that will take an intermediate play a check down and turn it into a 70-yard gain. And if then you have got linebackers who are having to account for that speed, who are having to account for those intermediate routes, that's where Alshon Jeffrey, that's where Jordan Matthews, that's where Nelson Aguilar can really burn you downfield as they did in 2017. They're replacing Torrey Smith and Mike Wallace with a slightly different outlook. Instead of fighting fire with fire, they're going to bring a slightly more explosive chemical into the fray and make that explosion bigger. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I tried to focus on the player more than the numbers because it gives a much better insight into what we can expect on game day. If you've liked this video, please hit that thumbs up. We want to get to 5,000 subscribers by Christmas, and if you want to join in the Philly Sports Network Nation, all you've got to do is hit that subscribe button. You guys are rages. This fan base is the best on the planet. And don't forget, you can catch my work, my articles, along with the rest of the team at Philly Sports Network every single day at phillysportsnetwork.com. Make it your home for Philadelphia sports, and I promise you won't regret it. But from myself, Liam Jenkins, you can follow me on Twitter at LiamJenkins21. I'll see you next time for another episode of Eagles Film Room.